Good afternoon. Today for my video case report on a legal or ethical issue that I have seen during my time and my clinical placement for Monash at JobWatch. I would like to talk about the role of AI and redundancy. What is redundancy, generally speaking? Generally speaking, redundancy occurs where the job of the employee has been doing is no longer required to be done by anyone, and the employer has been unable to offer the employee suitable redeployment. And a genuine redundancy is where, one, the employer no longer requires the person's job to be performed by anyone due to changes in the enterprise's operational requirements. Two, the employer has complied with any consultation obligation in the modern award or enterprise agreement. And three, it is not unreasonable to redeploy the person within the employer's enterprise or the enterprise of associated entity. So basically, redundancy is pretty much where a person's job's no longer required, and then the employer has to consult them based on their award or enterprise agreement, and then try to offer them a suitable redeployment within the company or an associated entity. Why is redundancy important? Because due to the advancement of artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT and a lot of other AI software, such as AI, art generative software, many jobs are likely to be replaced in the future. In fact, according to a study done by Telsite, which I found on the Australian Financial Review, almost 58% of customer service jobs could be replaced in the future. Over 49% of IT jobs, ironically, will be replaced in the future. And over 40% of accounting jobs will be replaced. And then we can see things like tourism and graphic design. And this is true because with things like ChatGPT, which can talk just as well as a normal human, like in fifth grade can, why would anyone use customer service employees for humans to do customer service? This will be all ChatGPT. Why do you use maths and everything when programs can do it for you, such as accounting? And during my time at JobWatch, there was a lot of people who have been made redundant by automation and artificial intelligence. One of them was a accountant manager who worked at an accounting firm for 30 years. And she called me because she said, I've just been made redundant because my employer replaced me with AI. Another person was a person working at a bank who also got replaced by AI or automated system. And then there was also a graphic designer from movie studio, and she's like, I used to, draw movie posters and everything, but now because ChatGPT and AI art generation can just do the same poster better and pretty much at a hundredth of a price, most of the people working in the studio has been let go or made redundant. And all three people here have been offered a a redeployment offer to in order to meet the genuine redundancy requirement. But the truth is, the pay was lesser, the position was not as important, and they feel like they are not appreciated in their job. And so all three of them turned down the redeployment offer. So although legally speaking, employees do have a right to reject the offer because it's too low or something like that, what options do they really have when an entire industry like the graphic arts or the accountants or the customer service industry is being automated? Um, and of course, maybe perhaps the offer they got for redeployment was a lot less money, and perhaps the job title is not as good as before and less responsibilities. But if something like ChatGPT can do customer service for free, an accounting software can do a better job than most accountants with zero error and zero need for breaks, or like, an AI art software can make a movie poster for pretty much free. If they can do the job better and cheaper, why should employees get paid the same as before? And is sad, but it's a good question. And that's why I think a lot of those companies, when they offer redeployment, um, they just offer them less pay, as they don't need to be paid more, in their opinion. And although current laws does protect workers in Australia, with redundancy, with unfair dismissal and stuff, but in China, there's like 10 to 15 million robots already replacing manufacturing jobs. So perhaps if AI is the future to help with our aging society and labor force, do you think laws will change to accommodate with the times? I think so. As otherwise, how do you compete with other countries? But even so, for redundancy, I always tell them, generally speaking, that there must be genuine redundancy. You cannot be terminated on the spot. And often, a redundancy is not genuine, as there's no attempt at redeployment. Often, a lot of employers just say, "Oh, you're gone. You've been made redundant. We don't need you anymore." But there needs to be, an attempt at redeployment. There also needs to be a consultation obligation that the employer has to consult the employee, and that really depends on the employee's award or enterprise agreement. But usually there should be consultation, and there's also redundancy pay as well. But that only extends to employees, not contractors. But for employees, they like depend on the years of service, they get redundancy pay for like how many weeks. Um, but the thing is, although legally speaking, an employee does not have to accept the pay that is lower than what the contract stipulated, if AI can do things better and cheaper than them, then why should employers try to pay them the same? And that's why a lot of employers are willing to do this in order to, well, get with the market and get with the time, so to speak. And it's very unfortunate, especially for contractors who don't even get redundancy pay. And it's tragic, really. But is it right for laws to stop progress? A lot of people said, laws should go and protect employees, make it very hard for them to be, fired or, and make sure that when they get redundant, they get the same pay as before. But I think that although I fear being automated myself, you cannot stop progress. One of the reasons why the Roman Empire fell, a lot of historians say, is because when a glassmaker presented a unbreakable glass to Emperor Tiberius, the emperor just executed him in order to not reduce the value of Roman gold and silver. And because of the Roman Empire's, attempt to stunt progress in order to preserve the status quo, that is a main reason why historians say they were overrun, as they simply were not as creative as before. And isn't stopping AI kind of like stopping a person from making unbreakable glass? And there's a lot of solutions to mass AI unemployment. We can do a universal basic income where the government gives employees or workers laid off by AI financial support in order to upskill themselves. And one thing we can say is because redundancy, if it's not genuine, as a part of an unfair dismissal claim to the Fair Work Commission, usually, we should try to extend the unfair dismissal period to submit the application from 21 days to much longer in order to deter employers, as a lot of employees do forget it's 21 days, and when the 21 days is passed, which is a short time, they can't lodge it anymore. So if it increases, it will create more deterrence, which is something that job watch is trying to lobby the government to do. Maybe there should be change in redundancy law saying if there is a redeployment due to AI, the pay cannot be less, or that maybe you should encourage workers to work with AI and learn to work with them than simply just getting fired or replaced. As if we do that, then like you can see in this chart, we're looking at almost half the workforce being laid off, and that's a disaster. It's a national disaster. We kind of have a European like Italy in Italy, they have a legal limitation on how much automation can replace jobs by. But like I said, by trying to staunch progress, isn't it like trying to stop unbreakable glass, which still hasn't really been found 2,000 years later. And also another note is a lot of people fear in the early 2000s that Microsoft Office will replace all workers. And it did replace some workers, but as you can see, what we're using here, it just made our lives easier. So who's to say AI is a bad thing? But I think I'll end this presentation by saying um, my favorite short film of all time is called The Second Renaissance. It's a prequel to The Matrix. It's about how human beings created machines and put them all to this mundane task, and everyone got unemployed. And then the machines one day say, "Oh, we don't need the humans." They rose up, and then they enslaved all of us. And my favorite quote from that is it says, "In the beginning, there was man, and for a time it was good, like our society right now, not bad. But humanity's so-called civil society soon fell victim to vanity and corruption." And we can look at 2008, the GFC, Elon Musk on Twitter every day, and how tech billionaires have increased the wealth gap in America more than, wealth inequality before the French Revolution. And then we made machine in our own likeness with ChatGPT and all things like that, and AI generative art, and AI song software. But by replacing all the workers, by replacing all of us, and for us, all the basic skills like writing, like law, like accounting, like mathematics, all replaced by robots, I ask, did we not become the architect of our own demise? And I say we will, if we just let AI replace all the workers and we don't do anything to help them. But if we do help the workers, if we do reform the laws in redundancy, and if we do create a place where people can learn new skills as opposed to just being replaced by AI, like my law degree become worse because AI came along, then we can still create a better world. And that's the world I hope me and my children will live in. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good afternoon.